Happy Wednesday! I'm Tristan Winder in the News 2 streaming studio with the Morning Pulse here on this Wednesday, May 7th. Tuesday evening, the North Platte City Council took up initial conversation on a potential major housing development on the city's east side of town in close proximity to sustainable beef. Nebraska-based Chief Industries announced intention late last month to develop a nearly 300-unit mobile home park on property located along East Phillip Street and Bicentennial. The mobile home park, dubbed Newberry Village, would drastically aid in the ongoing housing crisis plaguing the region for decades.
But these 290 homes would really be beneficial. They hit the price point for many of our employees, be very close to our plant, and we applaud the effort and think it'd be a great asset to North Platte to have these available.
That's David Briggs, CEO of Sustainable Beef. The North Platte City Council did endorse all Newberry Village related items. We'll have additional coverage on this later on today here, both on air and online. In government news today and statewide, the USDA report of pasture and range conditions was released this week, showing that 35% of pasture land and rangeland were considered to be in good or excellent condition, compared to just 19% at the end of October. While it appears the conditions have improved some, at the same time last year, 46% of pasture and rangelands were in good or excellent condition. According to the U.S. Drought Monitor, from late April, 31% of cattle inventory are located in areas experiencing some drought conditions. Last year, that number was at just 17%. And following breaking news out of Lincoln earlier today, one person has seriously been injured after falling roughly 50 feet inside an abandoned grain elevator just outside of downtown Lincoln. This happened last night at 10:15 near 6th and G. First responders spent nearly 30 minutes rather, carefully getting the person out from the structure and to an ambulance. The extent of the person's injuries remains unclear throughout these morning hours. Happening today, the federal deadline to get a real ID is starting. The cards will be needed to board a domestic flight and gain access to some federal building and facilities. Enforcement, however, is not expected to begin immediately. According to the Transportation Secretary Administration, travelers without a real ID may have longer wait times at the airport. There are other forms of ID that will be accepted, including U.S. passports. And in other national news, with Mother's Day, graduations, even weddings, now's the time for all things floral. And while the U.S. does grow some of its own flowers, the bulk of the bloom actually comes from overseas and are subject to tariffs. Last year, U.S. imported $2.2 billion worth of cut flowers and greens. The Society of American Florists says that small growers have flourished since the pandemic, selling at places like farmers markets. But even they are not immune to some of the tariffs. With bulbs imported from places like Italy and Holland, the industry is experiencing countless substitutions in the midst of the tariff situation. Consumers can still get what they need. They're just going to be needing to change their budget. And lastly, a new report suggests that some people are not spending enough time at the sink. A new survey released on Monday finds that close to half of Americans either forget or choose not to wash their hands at appropriate times. That includes after a trip to the grocery store, a restaurant, or a doctor's office. However, nearly a third of those polled said that they do wash their hands more often now than what they did during the COVID-19 pandemic. Health officials say that at least 20 seconds with soap and water to get hands properly clean can make quite the difference. The survey that was released on Monday was from the National Foundation of Infectious Disease. Rounding out the Morning Pulse here on this Wednesday, May 7th, with a check of the 7-day forecast. 71 the high for us today. Not too bad. We're going to have pretty much identical temperatures tomorrow, but the chance for any severe thunderstorm activity or any precipitation decreases substantially from today to tomorrow. In fact, today our best chance for looks like the foreseeable future with early predictions. 80 the high on Friday, and that's going to usher in a beautiful weekend with temperatures in the low to mid 80s, and they'll remain in the low to mid and even upper 80s for next work week.